we have a podcast.
Diving deep into all things Texas, both on and off the field. Here's Sean Pendergast and Pro Football Hall of Famer, the General, John McClain. Welcome to Houtopia.
So let's start there, John. That's a great segue by you into 4 stocks up and 4 stock down. And I'm going to give you the floor, and I think you know where to go with this one.
Stroud, I thought, under the circumstances of having a sore shoulder, that they put him on the injury report Friday, and they worried that he might not play. Didn't throw the ball the last 2 days. And then they determined last night after treatment that he was going to go. Threw for almost 400 yards, no interceptions, sacked 6 times, hit 9 times. For a defense that had 10 tackles for loss. I was so impressed. Had a touchdown call back, and I thought he was fabulous. And I think that everything we saw from him today, guts, heart, poise, even though he was getting hammered, I thought was tremendous. He has now broken a record of completions in the first 2 games for a rookie, broke Justin without an interception, No, that wasn't counting interceptions. Broke Justin Herbert's record, and he's almost up to closing in on 100 passes without an interception. And I thought he was just tremendous.
I think he's looked really good. Look, if this is what the offense is going to be doing for the next 2 or 3 years, they're not going to win many football games. So even CJ admits, got to be better in the red zone, got to be better at times situationally. He knows that. But for what he's being asked to do behind that offensive line, apparently with a shoulder injury now that popped up on the injury report this week. And I know he talked about that a little bit in the post-game press conference today, that he was dealing with some pain in his shoulder. I'm super impressed, John. I'm overall impressed. I'm impressed with the level of play on the field. I'm impressed with how he handles himself off the field as well. And I think once this offensive line gets healthy, knock on wood, if it ever gets healthy, the one thing that we have seen from CJ Stroud, when he has time to throw, he deals. When he has even the slightest bit of time, he's making some of these completions with very muddy pockets, very messy pockets, a lot of hands and limbs flailing around in there, and he's able to deliver the ball on time. Some of these throws he makes, that throw he made, John, in the first half on 3rd down to Robert Woods, they had converted a 3rd and 3 to Nico. It got called back because Josh Jones lined up illegal formation. So then it's 3rd and 8. And CJ made a throw, John, from the right hash all the way across, dropped it in a bucket along the near sideline to where the press box is. That was it's like throwing it into a hole at the circus from 50 yards away, across the field. Some of the balls he throws are so impressive. And you're right. Of all the things here, look, if I'm looking to come away, if somebody had told me, man, things are going to be ragged all over the place and all these guys are going to be injured and they're going to be 0-2 and they're going to lose by double digits, but you're going to come away feeling like with CJ Stroud, you got your guy at quarterback. Overall, I probably would have signed up for that just because of how important that position is moving forward.
As long as you got your quarterback, you can build around everything else. The Texans do not need a quarterback unless he gets killed.
Yeah, unless he gets killed. Easy stock up for me, John. My first one off of that is Nico Collins. We had Nico on the post-game show today, and look, he said he'd have given all 146 yards back if they could have won the game today. The fact of the matter is Nico Collins, through these first 2 weeks of the season, has put up 2 of his best 3 games in his entire career so far. I don't know what the total number of games is he's played. He's missed a lot of games, obviously, with injury. Call it 22 games now. His best game before the season started was an 82-yard game against the Chargers last year at home. He's now put up 80 yards last week, 146 yards this week. And I just love that he's doing it so many different ways, John. And it's not one big, huge chunk play or 2 big chunk plays where that's getting all the yardage and the rest are little dinks and dunks. He's become CJ's go-to guy in key situations. He's unstoppable on that slant route where CJ gets it out fast. And then his ability to do things after the catch, because he's so big and strong, he's always going to be able to muscle out another 4 or 5 yards. That's what to me makes him so dangerous when you're using that play on say 3rd and 8 or 3rd and 9. If you hit him on that slant about 5 or 6 yards past the line of scrimmage, you can almost count on him because he's so big and physical and moving at such a high rate of speed. You can almost count on him getting 2 or 3 extra yards every time after the catch. super impressed with Nico Collins so far in his development in year 3.
He's averaging 17.9 yards a catch in those 2 games and haven't even thrown a deep ball down the sideline where he catches it and goes the distance. But that's coming. The problem is that takes a couple of steps back where you actually have some protection, but too much Stroud. And what I like is he's taking 1-step drops and firing the ball immediately and hitting Nico in stride.
Yeah.
And then especially over the middle in traffic, Nico can break tackles, and he averaged over 20 yards today.
All right, what's your next stock up, John?
My next stop up, Tank Dell. Tank, I don't know why they don't use him all the time in punt returns. I have 1 for 13. Then he had a touchdown catch in which he put a really good move on a corner to score. Then he had a touchdown catch that was called back because Josh Jones, the left tackle, who didn't know how to line up to wipe out a first down, even though he's 3rd year in the NFL. And then he tackled the pass rusher. I saw it, and flag came out. I knew what it was immediately. Tank would have had 2 touchdowns right in his 2nd game of his season. And the coaches, he had 7 catches, more and more the coaches are getting more and more confidence in him because you haven't seen him drop one. You haven't seen him run a stupid route, but they got to feel good about where Tank Dell is playing opposite Nico Collins.
Yep. He had a nice punt return today too. So he impacts the special teams as well. That looks like a really good draft pick. This rookie class so far, John, if they can stay healthy, Juice Scruggs was on track to start. Henry To'oTo'o gets out there quite a bit for them as a rookie. Jared Patterson's been a nice surprise as a rookie for them. This rookie class so far, like knock on wood, looks to be very, very solid, I would say so far.
Sure does. And Nick Caserio's got to take a bow for that.
Yeah. So your stock up is Tank Dell. My last one, John, a guy who was in there in kind of pinch hitting duty today. And right now he's the only healthy safety that they broke camp with is MJ Stewart. Right now, Jalen Petrie and Jimmy Ward are they're both still out with injuries. They missed today. And Eric Murray left the game today with a concussion. So MJ Stewart was your top ranked healthy safety once Murray went out, led the team in tackles today with 10. Almost had an early turnover in the game today where he punched the ball out from Michael Pittman's hands on one of the very first plays. I think it might have been the first play from scrimmage for the Indianapolis Colts. Eric Murray almost recovered it inbounds, just missed getting a knee down. But MJ Stewart making things happen. He had the hit on Anthony Richardson that I think ultimately that's the play that concussed him and knocked him out of the game. And he had a few other plays too in those 10 tackles that were meaningful tackles. There was a play, I can't remember which Colt caught it, but it was 3rd and 4, and it looked like he was going to get a catch and run for a first down. MJ Stewart was able to bring him to the ground and force a 4th down. So MJ Stewart has done a very nice job in replacing Jimmy Ward and Jalen Petrie so far.
Yes, he has.
Yep. All right, let's do some stock downs then, John. Who is your first stock down for the game today?
Josh Jones. Josh Jones from U of H. They acquire him from the Cardinals. Everybody thought, well, the Cardinals are tanking. They want to get rid of their players. Well, they got rid of him for a reason. He comes in here, and I've never liked it when you move players around, rookies, veterans. They need one position. They need to learn the system, get used to the coaching, the quarterback. But he came in, he played left guard, then he had to move to right tackle when George Fant got hurt in the first game. Then he had to play left tackle. He had 2 penalties. That's 4 in 2 weeks. His penalties against the Colts wiped out a touchdown and a first down, and he gave up 2 sacks, if I can remember correctly. And they need Laramie Tunsil back, and they got Fant at right tackle. I don't know if they're going to put him at left guard against Jacksonville, but he is really struggling. It's inexcusable to line up wrong. Dumbest call is defensive lineman in the neutral zone and an offensive lineman or any offensive player not lining up when all they got to do is look at the ball. That's what he did, and it cost them.
John, and this was a week where the league told the 32 teams, we are cracking down on this. He got called for what everybody was complaining about with Jawan Taylor after the Thursday night game in week 1, where, Jawan Taylor's lining up. Collinsworth was joking, and it looked like he was lining up as a slot receiver because he was so far off of the line of scrimmage. They sent a tape, they send a tape around all 32 teams with things that they're going to be, points of emphasis and things they should be watching out for. officiating wise and things like that. And this was the thing that was in the video this week. So it's inexcusable anytime. You're right. It's especially inexcusable this week when you know that officiating staffs across the league are cracking down on this, on tackles. So I'm with you on that. Josh Jones absolutely 100% deserves it. You know what, John, I'm just going to go straight to the top here. Stock down on D'Amico Ryans today. You know, he has come out in these first 2 games, and you know, losing in Baltimore, there's no crime in that, but you lose by 16 points, and it's kind of a downer. This one was a major downer. This was one where, man, people are so ready to back this team again. And you come out and you look, the team was unprepared. They didn't look ready to play, John. They didn't look ready to play. They didn't look ready to defend Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson ran for 35 yards on those 2 touchdown runs, and nobody touched him until the last yard of the second touchdown. By the way, that's the hit that we talked about with MJ Stewart.
Yeah.
If I'm a Colts fan,
concussion.
If I'm a Colts fan, that's a whole separate thing. This is a Texans podcast, not a Colts podcast. If I'm a Colts fan, I'm very nervous right now about the fact that Anthony Richardson has been TKO'd in 2 games so far. That is a big concern, but that's not our concern. That's theirs. But there's no way to sugarcoat it. This is a team that did not come out ready to play today against an opponent that was ripe to be beaten today here at NRG Stadium with the energy in that crowd. And they took all the energy out of the building early in this game. And for that, I don't care about the injuries. You know who doesn't care about the injuries? And he said it every press conference since they started piling up, D'Amico Ryans. He's not making any excuses, so I can't make any excuses for him. His team came out unprepared and with no energy today, and that falls at the feet of the head coach.
I agree with you 100%. And my next one is going to be one that I bet you haven't thought of. First of all, it could be the entire offensive line. 6 sacks given up, 5 by the defensive linemen.
Yeah.
I could do them. I could do the running game, but instead I'm going stock down with offensive coordinator Bobby Slowick. Are you surprised? You probably think he did a good job, huh? You don't need to rant anymore.
Rewind.
Everything you said earlier about Bobby's play calling when they were behind, trying to run the ball against it's like the proverbial banging your head against a brick wall.
Yeah.
I know coaches always say, well, you got to try it. Well, when you're losing and your strength is in the passing game and the receivers are playing well and the quarterback's playing well, I know you don't want to get him killed, but sometimes you got to go with what's your strength. And that was definitely the passing game, not the running game. So I'm with you on Bobby Slowick as well.
Yeah. It's just bad. It's like, that's really discouraging to me, John. Like that I'm told that Bobby Slowick is this savant, and maybe he is. Maybe there's some things he wants to do in terms of play design and stuff like that he just can't do right now because of the personnel that he's got out there. I'm totally sympathetic to that. It is a very simple decision to take a look at things 6.5 quarters into a season, 2.5 quarters into a game where you're trailing by 3 touchdowns and you cannot run the football, and say, okay, we got to figure out something that A, we do well, and B, doesn't burn 45 seconds worth of clock on every play. That's the thing. That's the big. There were so many times in this game in the second half, John, where I would look at Clint Stoerner or Ron Hughley or Seth Payne, whoever's sitting next to me, and I would go, they have spent 2 minutes and 15 seconds moving the ball 12 yards. You know, like they are the equivalent, whereas all these other offenses, the equivalent of actually driving a car fast on the highway. The Texans are walking places. Like they're choosing, they need to drive 75 yards. That's the equivalent of driving, call it like from where I live to the stadium. It's a good 15-minute drive. They're choosing to walk to these places. I've walked it before. It's not fun, especially in the summer. So that's the thing to me, like the conscious decision-making that just makes no sense. It's dumb. Honestly, it's just that the 7-minute and 20-second drive for a field goal, I was ready to strangle somebody. That was bad. That was I'm so down on Bobby Slowick right now. And the more I talk about it, the more down I get. So I guess I better get to this last.
All right, go to the next one.
Last stock down, John. Mine is Malik Collins. Malik Collins, according to Pro Football Focus, was coming into this game as the worst interior defensive lineman in the sport. 127th out of 127.
Ooh.
I don't know that matched my eye test for the Ravens game. I thought the interior of the defensive line, admittedly, that is one area of the field that I'm not watching every number on every play. I'm just hoping that the Texans stop the run collectively as a unit. But Malik Collins, by the Pro Football Focus scores, was literally the worst interior defensive lineman in all of football in week 1 of the season. Sheldon Rankins was the 5th worst. He was 122nd out of 127, or 6th worst.
How in the world did they stop anything against the Ravens?
That's why I don't buy totally into that score. But I'm going to tell you today, Malik Collins was a guy where I'm going, okay, I have not. He had 1 tackle today, John. He had 1 tackle. And Zach Moss had so many carries where he just kind of slithered past the defensive line and was able to get 7 yards or 8 yards. I could probably make it an interior defensive line thing as much as anything. Malik Collins is the highest paid one out of all of them, though, so he gets the brunt of it. Heavy is the head that carries the big bag home at night, John, and that is Malik Collins. Stock down to Malik Collins and the entire interior of the Texans' defensive line. Inexcusable performance today.
We could go with anybody except Stroud and his receivers. Those are the ones that I think deserve praise.
Yep. I would agree. I would absolutely agree. And you know what? Who else gets thrown in there? Will Anderson. I know he had the only QB hit. It's on the very first play of the game.
Not enough.
Not enough. Yeah, not enough. So Will Anderson. We did not hear 51 much today at all, while the game still mattered. So there you go.
It was a great coaching job by Shane Steichen and his defensive coaches. They just threw a net over everything the Texans did well, and the Texans couldn't adjust to anything unless Stroud bailed them out.
And even, John, as I'll go back to my D'Amico Ryans stock down, Shane Steichen did the little thing where he had the punt team out there and jogged them off at the last second, brought the offense out, and forced D'Amico to burn a timeout in the second half. You know, a timeout that if Kaimi Fairbairn had made that field goal to make it a 1-score game, a timeout that would have come in awfully handy either way. But a timeout that would have come in handy. Shane Steichen, who, by the way, himself is only coaching his 2nd game in the NFL as a head coach, he chest moved D'Amico Ryans out of a timeout there. I thought it was brilliant. It worked. So there you go. All right, I got to take a deep breath, John. This is week 2. This is week 2, and they got Jacksonville
week 17.
What do you think the line's going to be on the Jacksonville game, John? You think the Texans are underdogs by more than a touchdown?
I think it'll be somewhere like it was with the Ravens. Somewhere instead of 10, I think it'll be like 8 or 9.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Somewhere between 7 and 10. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. If you want to see more of our videos, be sure to check out our playlist and let us know what you think in the comments below.
Also, don't forget to follow us on social media to stay up to date on our latest updates. Links are in the description. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.